I'm ready if you're ready.
Welcome to Confessional Magazine, and I am here today with Howi Spangler from Ballyhoo, and he is amazing and rocks our socks off every time we hear him. So thank you for being here, Howi.
Thanks for having me. How are you?
Oh, good. How are you?
Good.
Yeah, so Howie, I personally have been a long time listener of Ballyhoo back to 2011. So it's been about 10 years now that I've been following you guys. Um, and I just, it's amazing where like the music can bring you, but like, where did you get your start with your band?
Well, I'd always wanted to be in a band since I was a kid. Uh, my dad took my brother and I to some shows when we were kids. We saw sorry, I just had dinner. Uh, my dad took us to see Rat and Poison and Tesla,
Yes.
Leopard, all those '80s glam bands, and I was just blown away. I was 6 years old when I saw those bands play, and it was a few years he was taking us to these shows, and and he was always in bands growing up, and there was always gear around the house, drum kits and stuff, and he always like, he would buy us things like keyboards and little drum pads and things, guitars. So we were lucky to have that, and kind of be exposed to that sort of lifestyle, and it just stuck. So when when it wasn't until Green Day came out with Dookie in '94 when I was like, "Oh, this is great! I gotta learn how to play guitar." And
That's my first, that my first concert ever was the Green Day Blink-182 Pop Disaster Tour.
man, you're making me feel old now. Holy shit! Yeah, yeah. I didn't get to go to that tour. I didn't go to a lot of shows, like big shows. I guess. I guess I did, but it was always like by chance. It was like, hey, I got this ticket. You want to go? It wasn't like
Right.
getting tickets. I was broke, you know what I mean? And like
Yeah.
friends that like, hey, my friend worked at the radio station. I got to see Korn and Incubus, and another friend took me to see Metallica and Linkin Park and Limp Bizkit on the Summer Sanitarium, but he had it was free tickets. So I
Yeah.
saw shows like that, but Green Day was one of the ones that like I saw them in '95 for the first time. Uh, I just turned 15, and my mom got me tickets for my birthday. She waited for like an hour on Ticketmaster. Back then, it was all on the phone, and like you'd call and it would be busy, and you have to try
Yeah.
again.
Right.
Yeah, and these kids don't know how they have it, how good they have it these days.
No, you wait, time out. You don't know how good you had it. Your
Right.
mom was calling for these tickets for your birthday. Like
True.
that's pretty stellar, badass movements.
Yeah, I was grateful that she was, supportive, and she wanted us to have things. She worked really
Yeah.
like 3 jobs, and she worked really hard. So, but yeah, so Green Day came out in '94. I decided that I want to play guitar and start the band finally, and started with my brother, who's the drummer to this day. And man, played our first show March 1st, 1996, so almost 25 years ago, and it's been, history ever since, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing that like you just have kept going with your music throughout these years, which like who knows like what will make people continue when it comes to artists. Sometimes you start a band and then you fall off, but like there has to be something great that can actually like keep people together after time, right? So like what has kept you, I mean, you guys have been around for so long. I mean, I only started listening I think in 2010, 2011. So what has kept you guys like melded together as a group throughout this time?
I think when you found the band, we were already a band for 16 years. So,
Right. Which is like,
um,
because in my head, I have to say right now, which I do want to talk to you about Ricochet later, because I'm like personally involved with Ricochet at this point in my life.
okay.
um, but it's just, it's amazing. Like, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, no, I think that, for me it was just the love of it. I was, even in like high school when, you know, I get to 11th, 12th grade. I started the band the summer before I went into 10th grade. And so, it was, 11th, 12th grade, you get grandparents and parents saying things like, "Hey, you gonna go to college? You gonna, you gotta have something to fall back on. You can't just do this. It's gonna be impossible to be a rock star or whatever." Back then, it was like, we wanted to be on MTV and
Right. Like, yeah, yeah, with Carson Daly's,
yeah, I mean, God, this was
oh my gosh, I am dating myself.
yeah, no, no, you're right. It's dating me because it's like pre Carson Daly. It's like he didn't come around for like another 2, 3 years, but but yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, TRL, that was the thing, and um,
Yeah.
so we wanted to be all that stuff and on the radio and playing SNL and major label and everything, and just
Hmm.
different now. But back then, it's I'll say it's much easier in a sense to get noticed these days because of social and everything. Not that it's like easy by any means, but the tools that we have now. If I was starting a band right now, for the first time, there's all these tools at your disposal.
Right.
Uh, Back then, it was like you really had to, get out and make, play over state lines and connect with
Yeah.
bands out of town and swap shows and, uh, try to get on in the local radio station, like their Sunday night, local show. Like that
Hmm.
was big for that here, in Baltimore. Noise in the Basement. Matt Davis, shout out, for supporting the band for all those years in the early days. Just doing whatever you can to be heard and seen, and just be cool and network. And like I was going to the, once it wasn't until the early 2000s, we were doing shows and stuff in the late 90s, but it wasn't until early 2000s when I really started like getting out to the Baltimore scene and
Hmm.
meeting other bands, other artists, and hanging out on like a Monday night, Noise in the Basement night, or Tuesday nights at the Stone Cellar, for open mic. We did Wednesday tequila nights at Mex. Just all these, and Lucille's, all these different things you did, and what that did was like kind of create the community, or you became a part
Right.
of the community that already existed, I guess. But so that's kind of how you did it. And then MySpace came along, and that really excelled things. You got to really connect with people all over the country and the world. Um, but yeah, it was always the thrill of like, what's next? How can I get to the next level? And
Hmm.
I knew that what we had was good. I knew that the songs were good enough. It's, production may have been, it was what it was. We did the best we could to get the best sounds we could at the time. And I was relying on other people,
Hmm.
other, my buddy Jerome was a great producer and tracking us out and stuff. Um, so, we worked with what we had. And I was just excited, hearing ourselves back on a CD,
Yeah.
pressing a CD. It was everything we did was exciting and fun, and it was everything I've ever wanted, And um, then you play shows, and like people are, singing along and having a great time, and uh, we're having a great time. I mean, we're getting wasted, like
Yep.
it was that life, man. It was that life
Yeah.
that I wanted. And I don't know. There was just it's not like I definitely had moments of like, fuck it, I quit, but like there was definitely it was the passion, the want, the fire was too strong, I guess.
The drive was too,
Right.
and yeah, the drive was there.
I couldn't imagine just, not doing a show or not doing something related to the band or the music. And just Ballyhoo's been my, I live and breathe it, bleed it, since I was,
Yeah.
so it's, yeah.
It's I mean, yeah, it's part of you now. It's part of your story. And so part of that is where was your first show ever? I know, like now you're saying like, whoa,
Oh yeah.
time warp. But I
Oh,
want to go from like first show to most recent show. Like what's the difference like going from the excitement you felt when you were first stepping on stage when you didn't know if anybody would clap once to what it feels like walking on a stage when you know there are people that know all the words to your songs. Like that's got to be a totally different experience completely.
yeah, yeah. It's the first show, March 1st, 1996. Was at Aberdeen High School in the high school gym, and we charged $2, and I made the flyer. I was so pumped, I made the flyer, and I made it. It was all punk rock, and it was just like, just take whatever, just random shit, and put it on a piece of paper. Things in, Friday, March 1st at 6 o'clock or whatever it was, 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
And all the bands, and then you just go photocopy. I remember like feeling so stoked when I did my first photocopies of like 200 flyers. Awesome. Um, and I was nervous. I'm sure the other guys were nervous, but it was like a happy nervous. And I mean, 30 seconds in, I mean, we opened up with a Green Day song, of course, and 30 seconds in, like it was immediate. I was like, oh yeah, confirmed. Like this is what I wanted. You know,
Yes.
this
Yes.
is fucking amazing. So, uh, yeah, and it was, and the kids were excited, and like everybody in the room, in the gym, and we, I mean, I remember just being so loud, and like there was probably, I don't know, probably for what it was, I felt like 500, but it was probably like less than 100 kids. But it was at the school, so everybody was excited to go do it, and back then, in the 90s, like bands were the thing. Like people went and saw bands.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, so that was a night I'll never forget. And so yeah, fast forward, let's say 2020, like our last show. So 24 years after that first show, we're yeah, we're playing these shows. We're going on tour with some of our favorite bands and friends that we've made over the years, and playing in front of lots of people that sing the songs, and like we're very tight these days, and just from doing it for so long, and
Uh-huh.
it's just I don't know, like I guess that part's expected. I would hope that we'd be tight and good at what we do as far as playing and stuff, playing live. But yeah, it's just the difference is monumental. We were definitely tight for being a high school band. I feel like we were like the tightest. We were like out of all the bands that played. We worked on it every day for 8 months. I remember we started
Yeah.
practicing in July of '95 in my mom's basement, and then that's when July '95 is when the band started, um, and then 8 months later we did our first show. But we played every single day up until then, probably, and after, but because we wanted to be tight and be good. And I'd
Yeah.
written like a handful of songs, and we played a bunch of covers, but exciting.
So after that, what was your breakthrough? Like what would you say is your like breakthrough defining like non-high school band mom playing basement, which is amazing, but when did somebody else see you and was like, wow?
Well, we played in Baltimore, our first club show, the Auto Bar, the old version of the Auto Bar for you Baltimore kids out there. But it was our first club show, and it was in 1998, because we'd done some parties and stuff, but we hadn't been in the Baltimore, we hadn't been in the club yet. And so
Mm.
it was 98. We played the Auto Bar with a band called Fat Kid, and they were great. They were like a kind of a pop punk band, and we were like 17, and like the promoter gave us a case of Coors Light.
Yes.
Like, well, this is pretty fucking cool, you know.
Oh yeah, you're like,
Dude,
we made
starts
it.
like immediately, like this lifestyle. It starts immediately, like the rock star thing.
Coors Light.
Yeah, you know. So, but so that was you know a fun night. But yeah, yeah, first club show '98.
Yeah, so beyond that, I know that you guys have, I mean, let's like fast forward from like the 90s to the 2000s era. And like, I know that you guys have been on, you know, 311 day or 311 cruises. Like, let's talk, like, when was the moment that you were like, holy crap, now we're like having personal DMs with like the people that we've looked up to that now we're on the same level as, which is again like the moment which as like an artist you're like, am I on, we're on the same, we know each other now, we're talking.
Yeah, I wouldn't say we're on the same level quite yet, but we're definitely you know, I feel like that we've been earning the respect of bands like 311. And that makes me very happy, you know. That's definitely 311's a band that, you know, another band we listen to every day after
Yeah.
we watched Enlarge the Show Detail, all those home videos. And when we got the call or the email or whatever it was in '08 to do 2 shows with 311 in Missouri and Ohio.
Ohio, that's where I am right now.
Um, yeah, so like when we got those, we played Rolla, Missouri. That was our first show at 311. It was March 15th, 2008, and then March 16th, 2008 at Columbus, Ohio. And the night before, we played with. Was that the night we played with Slightly Stupid? I think it was
Yes.
the whole weekend. It was it was Ballyhoo and Slightly Stupid, March 14th in Allentown, Pennsylvania, and then we shot all the way. We drove overnight out to Missouri, Rolla, Missouri, yeah, and played with 311. Pretty sure that was that weekend, and it was the weekend before Cheers came out, our third record. But yeah, I mean, we did the show. I was super nervous for that because it was like, oh my god, what's 311 fans gonna think of us? And I mean, it went really well. Everybody was kind of like, that day was weird because it was right around St. Patty's Day. So like, apparently Rolla, Missouri is like the capital for like St. Pat's celebrations. Like they had this huge parade and like everyone was destroyed from drinking all day, but it was a dry show, so you couldn't get drinks. So everyone's passed out in the
They pre-partied too hard, so they were like,
party too hard. You know what happens? Like when
oh
you
yeah,
come home, it's like 6 o'clock. You're ready to like go to bed.
yeah.
And that's what happened. So that was kind of weird. But and we didn't get a sound check, and it was Story of the Year. They played right after us, but like which was rad because I was a fan of that. But yeah, we didn't get a sound check. We just walked on stage. We didn't even get a line check. Like it was like there was just enough time to set up. So like I was even worried that like the gear wasn't even going to work when we went up.
Right.
We get up there, we start playing the first song, and like the kick drum is so loud in my monitor, and that's it. It's just pop, 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 blowing my face off. Apparently it was like kind of a shit show. And then people at the end said the last song sounded good. Like it was just our own sound guy. But the next night in Columbus, that's when it really came together, and it was just we destroyed, and like the crowd like ate it up. That's when I knew it's like, okay, 311 Nation is like the shit. And
Yeah.
we'd actually hung out with the band after the Rolla show that night before.
Yeah.
On the first night, and Chad texted me and said, "Come on the bus." So we went on the bus, and it was me and Chad and Nick and Tim and the guys, all my guys, and just hanging out. Just yeah, it was fun, man. It was awesome. Just kind of like talk to them, you know. And then I guess ever since, you know, they call us back for stuff, and you know, done some tours and the cruises, and just been great.
I mean, that's so cool just to like go from like band to like all of a sudden you're like, you are the band that's playing with another band is just so cool. And give it a couple of years and it'll be another upcoming band that is telling the same story of, hey, yeah, I got this text from Howie. He said, come on the tour bus.
It happens already. I mean, we're at a point where like, we'll be out with bands like new bands. We'll take them on tour or we'll do a show with them, and I feel that same feeling that I'm sure I was giving to 311 and whatever other favorite band I have that we got to play with. Real Big Fish is another one. But like, there's that vibe of like, play it cool, play it cool. Don't don't be don't fangirl. Don't do it.
Right.
Um, and I definitely failed the first few times with those guys. Like, oh, I love you guys, blah blah blah. But like, I definitely feel that from some of these younger bands. So that's cool. It's like it definitely hits the ego. I hate to say it, but at the same time, it's like, oh, that's cool, man. They respect us, and
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't consider it hitting the ego. I would consider it like literally,
all right.
honestly flattering because you were doing the same thing. You know what I mean? Like it's a stepping stone. They hit that stepping stone.
World goes around. It's like
Yeah.
the it's just yeah, it's what's supposed to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. You got joy let into your life. So now it's like your turn to like reignite somebody else's flame to feel that passion for the music. Cause that's what this all is about, right? Is just the world needs more music and they need more music that they can relate to in a way that like is welcoming and like cool as fun. Like you guys just bring the jam every time. And not only that, but you guys also help people think about like real issues that are going on through your music. Um, which I wanted to talk to you a little bit about if you were okay with. Ricochet.
Yeah.
For me, I just need to let you know personally, one-on-one, that like I was in a really low spot and I heard Ricochet, and this is back in 2011. And that's why like you guys have been on my number one, like Ricochet has been in my top 5 playlists since 2011, like top 5 songs played since 2011. Ricochet changed, like saved my life. Wow. Because I was in such like a deep spot of, depression. And I don't want to turn this into like a me thing at all. But I just want to let you know that like the words that you put into this music are so relatable to the people that are listening that like I couldn't help but fall in love with your group the first time your music was played, because Ricochet literally changed my life. It saved my life. I was like, you know what? You don't have to be heading down the road in a hearse. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And I just needed to tell you, thank you for that. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's so cool. Thank you very much. Yeah, and that kind of stuff to me is, that's huge and makes me feel amazing and awesome. And it's also very heavy and weird to process, it's, the fact that, I can write a song that affects someone like that in a positive way. So I'm glad it's been helping all this time, and I appreciate you listening, and that's really nice to hear. I hope everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but you also had your "I'll Be Okay" song come out. Within the last year. What caused you to like want to put that out? Because that was another one that I was like, this is my like Ricochet of the next 10 years. You know what I mean? Like...
Nice. I was really, when I wrote that one, I was really, I was sitting right here, and I think I was trying to write something, or I was just feeling like really down. I was just like really just, why? Like, because I was thinking about like, I got to make some more videos and I got to do some more podcasts. I do a lot of things if you keep on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, I had one of those moments where it's like the like the dark clouds like over you, and it's just it's only on you, and everybody else is sunshine. And like,
Hmm.
I'm thinking to myself, like, why am I even doing any of this? Like, what does this matter? Why does anybody care to, to listen to my next podcast, or hear the next song, or watch a video? Like, just all those dark, evil
Hmm.
feelings that keep you from doing good stuff, and stuff to express yourself, and and it's the things that make you happy ultimately. And I was just really down, and so I think I was strumming my guitar, and I had this capo on it, and just started messing around and kind of humming something, and just kind of came out, and I wrote it in just like 20 minutes. you know um it was
Because
like,
it was real.
yeah, that hasn't happened very often. Like, the last time I did that I can remember anyway is when I wrote Close to Me, and that was in
Hmm.
2006, when I wrote that. And I was on tour. That's right. It was our first tour. Same thing. I was really down. I was just depressed about something. I was in the van. Wrote in just a few minutes. Um, but yeah, and I thought to myself, like, this is really different. I've never really sang like this, as far as the releases go. Um,
Hmm.
and I just thought, this is really tender and just different, and um, maybe people need to hear this. So I just let it happen. I tracked it out, and yeah, people ended up digging it.
Yeah, I mean, because it touches people just like, Ricochet had touched me years ago. It's just like people being vulnerable in their own craft. Sometimes they don't realize that like they genuinely are helping so many more people beyond what the scope of what they even realize.
Exactly. You
You
don't
know?
realize the good that you're doing every time you put out one thing. Like, just a just me doing a podcast where I feel like I'm just rambling. People actually get some value from it, and it's interesting. Um,
Yeah.
but it's encouraging at the same time. It's like, oh wow, so I can just get on here and just talk, or I can just put out a song and people are going to connect. I don't know. It's interesting, and um, I don't know. I don't know. It's fun. I guess it's fun for me to help.
Yeah. I think with what the whole 2020 quarantine thing brought to people is the realization that like there's more to your art. Like you can sit down at this microphone and like talk and people will want to listen, right? And maybe a year ago you would have been like, I'm not just going to sit down and like talk about things. Like that's absurd.
I've, al- I've always been kind of an open book, um, where I haven't really been afraid to talk about how I'm feeling. I've definitely put things out there, and I've said some things lyrically over the years where it seems kind of dark and weird. But I've even had management in the past like tell me, like, don't make this about that. Sounds so happy, and you're just gonna ruin it and make people all dark and sad. And I felt it, but at the same time, I was like, oh, fuck that. I'm gonna put this out. This is how I feel. I feel like people are gonna connect with this. Um,
Right.
yeah, you don't realize the good you're doing sometimes.
Yeah, it's so true. Um, so if you could perform with any person performing today, living or past, who would be your like dream setup for you
I,
musically and just fanboy?
yeah, I, I would like. I know that I would definitely like to sit down with like Billy Joe Armstrong and write a song or play a song together. That would be great. Dave Grohl would be another one. Um,
Amazing.
yeah, if I could somehow, do a song where I sing with Brad Knoll, Sublime, that would be killer. Um, but yeah, I think that's probably those are my some of the big ones.
Yeah. So throughout your band, you went from I know you had a transition in bass players, correct?
Yeah.
What was that change like for you?
Anytime you change personnel in a band, it's weird. It's weird. It's like it's sad when they tell you, and then it's like it's like the stages of grief, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
uh, you know, but then it gets exciting because you're like, okay, what's the next guy gonna bring? Um, how's it gonna be different? Stylistically, we try to find people that are gonna work, gonna match, with what we're doing, of course.
Hmm.
It's got their own flavor, but and every guy that we've had has had a different personality and different vibe about them. And yeah, so we went. Jr. was our last bass player. He was bass player for about 10 years. We had two before him, I think, but Nick. So he left in 2014, and then Nick showed up, and it was cool because like we still remain friends with all our previous bass players. Um, and it was cool how it happened. At the show in 2014, we played in Baltimore, so it was like perfect. And then all our friends were there and everything. And then so Jr. played half the show, and then right in the like it was either right in the middle of the song or right after the song in the middle of the set, Nick came out and they switched, and then JR left the stage, and we finished the show with Nick. This is weird.
What I mean, what better like PR way to do that? Like beautiful transition. If you could send notes over to the White House on how like a transition is supposed to be done.
Yeah. From the people, let me tell you. Um, yeah, we had it was a nice peaceful transition, and like I said, man, we just got drunk together and had a good time. And Jr. I knew that, after he said it, I was like, no, you're kidding. Like, shut
Yeah.
up, stop. Um, but I think it was the next day or later. I don't know, later that night. I don't know. I was like, okay, yeah, this makes sense. Like he was just over it. He had his reasons, and you know, amazing bass player too. He's great, but we don't want to try to keep somebody that doesn't want to stick around. If they have what
Right.
they want to do, we're not going to hold them, trap them here. We don't want that energy, and no, we're not here to lock anybody down. So Nick's been in the band since then, and it's been great. He fit right in, and he keeps us young. He's like 10 years younger than us, and so he works out, and he's handsome. He has great.
Does he work out enough for everyone in the group?
He works out. Yeah, he works out for like us and the other bands on the tour. Like,
Good, good, good. Just making sure everyone's covered.
oh my God, everyone's covered. Trust me. Like, I have abs because he has abs. No, I don't have
Can
abs.
you send some abs to Ohio?
Yeah, I'll work on it. No, I'm actually.
Abs by mail. I
I
take
gotta
them.
work on mine. I gotta work on mine.
Send me your leftovers.
I got a layer of like, Oreo cookies and ice cream. Right?
um, so I just wanted to say that I cannot thank you enough for being here today to like coming on and talking to me, which like I met you at shows years ago and I just have been a huge fan ever since. And Howie, I just, the sky's the limit for you guys. It really is. It's just, you guys really know how to get in touch with what people are going through and you connect to them on a musical and mental level, which is major. um, so thank you for your music, Howie.
And I just want to say thank you very much for listening because, it's like, I don't think it gets said enough, maybe. It's like we wouldn't be here without people listening to us and consuming, whatever it is we're doing. So thank you to you for finding us 10 years ago and hanging in there with us. And then everybody else out there that comes to the shows, buys a ticket, buys a shirt, listens to the band on Spotify and Apple, and you know, it just and buys merch every time we do a stream. It's what a weird year this has been. Um, you know, the fans have kept us afloat.
Yeah, I was gonna ask how has this past year been for you guys? I mean, it's just been devastating across the live board, but how has it affected you guys?
It's affected us I guess it's look, it sucks that we can't tour. It's, that that blows. Like our jobs went away. Like March 13th and 14th, we were supposed to have these two badass, like ridiculous shows. Everything was ramping up. Ticket sales were like crushing, like they hadn't ever before. Like this was 2020 was the year,
Mm-hmm.
really level up. and we had, and then those went away. And then the next week we were supposed to go to Florida and do like 5 shows, like a few festivals, some other things. And like everything was great. And then just one after another, I started losing them. So you're watching, your job just fall apart and,
Mm-hmm.
all down the line. And it got to the
Mm-hmm.
point, like, well, okay, what about 2 months from now? Those other shows we're talking about, July. No, those aren't happening either. Okay, well, maybe we can do something in the fall. And then it gets to be like July, August, and like fall is not happening. It's just it's the weirdest thing ever, man. So what it did was, if you were smart, and this goes for anybody that's like has an entrepreneurial spirit, or like is doing something for themselves. If you're
Mm-hmm.
smart, then you learned how to navigate the waters. You knew, okay, everything is being transitioned online. I need, if I'm in a band, I need to be streaming. I need to be, even if you're not doing like, we're really lucky to have Hartford Sound 20 minutes from my house. Like we go there, we put on these big productions every couple months,
Mm-hmm.
and streams out to everybody. We're lucky to have that, but there's a lot of bands that don't have that, but that's no excuse. Like you have your phone in your pocket, put it on a tripod or lean it up against something and go live on Facebook.
Like,
You have no excuse to not do anything. And props to the ones that are feeding the fan base, because it's like I feel like there was a time, I get all passionate about this part. I feel like we were, you get in a band, you go on tour, and things become like automatic. Like, okay, this is how it's supposed to happen. This
mm-hmm.
is how it goes. We go, people pay, they come see us, they go home, we go to the next town, right? And then the minute that this shit goes down, and we got to put in a little extra work now to like get everybody together, rehearse, then go do this production, create merch and do all the things. It's like there's bands out there that aren't doing that. And
Mm-hmm.
like either they just don't realize they can do it. They got to realize it by now, but it's just like, what are you doing? Like, are you just going to wait until it's time to go back on tour and expect your fans just to come out and pay to come see you again? Like, they're kind of counting on you right now. They love your music. Give them some new music.
Yeah.
And it's I just like to see bands hustling, and all the bands out there hustling and working. You know who you are. And so I think it's just it's a great thing to see. I think the fans, they need the tunes. We we need each other. It's like I think a symbiotic relationship, I think they call it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You can't have one without the other. And it's like every time we did a stream, we started realizing like donations were going down, which was like understandable. People were losing their jobs, and people,
Mm-hmm.
they donated while they could. And then it was like, okay, well, now what do we do? Well, let's create some value. Let's make some rad merch that's like limited, create some demand and get people excited, and you know they'll support that way. And that's how it's been. We've been kind of supporting ourselves by the streams and the merch sales. So you have to become, you were a touring band, now you're not. Now you're a merch company,
Yeah.
and that's really what you should be going for.
Yeah.
So
So how do you feel about bands that have been performing live through COVID?
I think there's it's a tough call, to be honest, because we're a band that we've been doing it so long to where we can support ourselves year round without
Mm-hmm.
shows. Like we've learned how to do that. There's enough in place to where we can take care of ourselves. A lot of younger bands, they can't just sit on their hands. Like they got to go
Mm-hmm.
make some money, and this is just like any other small business that's struggling.
Right.
You got to make money. You got like hair salons that were open when things were supposed to be locked down, but it's like, dude, what do you want? It's like, I got to survive, and the
Yeah.
government, they're trying to take care of us that well.
Hmm.
I was like, people are going to do what they're going to do, and I think that goes for these these sorry,
You're okay.
it goes for these bands too. You know, it's so I can't be mad at people that need to go get some work, and the promoters that
Hmm.
shows, same thing for them. It's like the crew guys, everybody needs work. Um, you know, I think people at
That I was going to say that's a big part of it that people don't think about too when they're like, oh, well, why can't the band just go perform live? Well, because the band also requires the other people, the people that are setting up the band and the live people. And, people don't think about how much actually goes into the live thing. But then on the other hand, you're not thinking about how many incomes this whole thing is affecting. So,
there's a whole behind the scenes of people that lost their jobs and they can't, you know, necessarily go on and do a live stream and sell merch. It's like they don't have a brand to like, there's
right,
nothing there that they've been building on. It's just kind of like they depend on us to take them out and to make money, you know. So they're picking up jobs and stuff, you know, whenever they can. Um, Everybody's trying to make it. So yeah, like uh, for the bands that are out there doing shows, I mean, look, obviously, those states are open and available, and it's like people are just gonna make their own decisions. They're gonna go to a show, and you know, you can't be mad at bands when they don't want to go on tour. You know, it's
hmm,
like, hey, this is just our choice. You know, when the bands do go on tour, I mean, hey, the fans go and they have a great time, and you know,
right. It's all up to the audience at that point. The band's playing either way, whether you're listening to them on the radio, on Spotify, or on stage, the band's playing.
yeah, it's you know,
So,
it's a weird kind of area to be in, and even really discuss because you're not sure how to feel about it. But
right.
you know, I'm in a position where um, I can support myself and what I'm doing. These other
Hmm.
they got to go work. They got to make some money. And I can't hate on that. You know, so it's
Right.
a tough call. It's a there's
So,
nuance.
yeah, I mean, I think the biggest point right now would be just to be like, hey, everybody support the arts in any way that you can. Support your local band, support your local musicians, support your local coffee shop. Just like,
I'll tell you this, whether it's a band or your favorite coffee shop or, you know, whatever it is you're into, if you want to support something, if you get that, you know, and you feel like this band or this company or whatever has given you enough value over the years and you want to help them out, send them a Venmo. Send it, you know what I mean? Like that's up to you, whatever denomination.
mhm.
Like just, you know, buy if it's a band, go to their merch store, buy all their merch. You know, like
Yeah,
um, and meanwhile you're spinning the crap out of their songs on Spotify to get those streams up, you know, because that creates revenue as well. Watch all their YouTube videos, like all the things, you know, like um, I think bands should get creative, you know, and figure out interesting ways to monetize, you know, without looking spammy or anything,
right, of course.
but like give you have the only way to do that is when you like over deliver with the value, like make sure it's something
Mhm.
that's going to be valuable to the people that are consuming it. So, um, I think that's what you got to do. You know, if you got to play some shows, you got to play some shows. You know,
Yeah. And like,
Leo's got
I
to.
mean, here's to 2021 just bringing back live music, right? Like, no, there's nowhere else I want to be than in front row in front of Ballyhoo and Howie playing, and that's it. And that's going to happen in 2021.
It's
Fingers crossed.
yeah. I think fall is going to be the time, and summer's
Yeah,
weird, but I think fall's going to be the time. Fauci says 70% vaccinated, and we'll be able to get back to that stuff. So
rock on.
roll out those vaccines. Let's get this done. I want to get back to work. I'll take the shot right now. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
I'll wait my turn, but give it to me.
I'd even take a body shot at this point.
I'm saying, dude, what do I got to do?
Well, Howie, thank you so much for coming on here and joining me today. And how can people find you and Ballyhoo Music?
Oh, we are everywhere. Yeah, just Spotify, Apple, Wherever you listen to music, we're there. Search Ballyhoo. I'm there too, Howi Spangler. Search the band name and my name on YouTube for videos, and you can sub up to my my YouTube channel and my podcast, Tales from the Green Room. Always making stuff, and so you can find me.
Cool. And I'll make sure and link everything when the article is put out about this. And I cannot thank you enough for coming on and just chatting and just being real and talking with us and bringing more to the story for Confessional Magazine. So I thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for letting me confess. Appreciate it.
All right. Until next time, Howie, thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks a lot. Take care of yourself.
Bye.
Safe.